Hi everyone, welcome to UniPath. I'm Yurtdışıeğitim. Today we are going to talk about MIT, but before we do that, let's talk about what UniPath is for. UniPath is for students who like to study abroad but cannot afford the money for college counselors because they were too expensive. So, if you have any questions, you can always DM or email us. We will be very glad to answer your questions. So, our first guest from MIT is Ceci Perez Gago. Today she will be answering MIT application process and the things she did in high school. So when she arrives, I'm going to connect her. Hi, Ceci, how are you?
Hi.
How are you? Can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you. Thank you. So let's talk about yourself. Who are you? Where are you coming from? And what inspires you the most in this world?
Oh, wow. What a question. Well, right now I'm in Argentina, and I come from Buenos Aires. And I've lived here my whole life, except for the fact that I went to school in the US for the last 2 years, in New Mexico. And something that inspires me, kindness. Like when people are kind to each other, it just inspires me to be kind to people as well. Just like when someone does something nice for me, I want to do something nice for someone else.
That's very nice and kind for you. So, what was your application process for MIT and US universities? Can you just talk about your stats or extracurriculars, whatever comes to your mind?
Okay, so I can describe the process a little bit. For MIT, the application process runs completely separately to all other schools. It doesn't go through the Common App, which is something that other schools use. So MIT has its own platform, and that was kind of different. For my year, they required SATs, of course, and the TOEFL, which I took. And we can talk about that in a little bit. But the process in general, it was kind of the same. You always have to write essays, and you have to show who you are, of course, and the activities you do. And yeah, so do you want me to talk about what I showed, about myself, for example?
Maybe the essays, the supplement and the Common App essays that you wrote, that you focused on, because many of the students, both in US and in Turkey, are very conflicted about the fact that what should I do, what should I write, or what should I do to impress the college admissions team. So maybe you can just share a little bit about your essay.
Okay, yeah, for sure. For the record, MIT does not receive the Common App essays, but for the Common App, I wrote about fixing a zipper, and that's quite a weird topic. And I think, well, at least I've heard back from an admissions officer who said that she'd never seen anyone write about that before. And I think that's kind of what they're looking for. They're looking for you to be genuine, but also not just talking about things that really matter to you and finding things that really had an impact on your life, even if it's something as silly as a zipper. So yeah, I wrote about that, and my supplements were also about things that are important for me in particular, and not so much, for example, grades or academics. That's not something that they want to hear about. They want to hear more about things that impact you personally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the zipper was the thing impacted you first, yeah,
So I did a lot of wilderness trips at UWC, and I learned that zippers are very crucial not to get cold at night. And when one of them gets broken, and for example your tent zipper gets broken, and no one knows how to fix it, then it's really cold at night, and you might get sick. And it's something that I learned from my mom when I was little. She never let me throw away jackets. She would always fix zippers and just force me to keep wearing them. So I used that skill in the wilderness, and I realized that it's actually something really important, because it helped me help others, as I said before. So yeah.
Maybe you can suggest some topics that can help students to write their essays on both MIT and Common App essays.
Right. So that's something really personal. I once went to a workshop where someone made us write about what it felt like to stand outside the door of your house, for example. And it was something really random, and at first I didn't understand it. But then everyone who wrote things that were so different, and they all went into the essay writing experience from such different perspectives. And I think that's what matters, that you find something that's little, but that you can, that represents you. I've heard of people writing about meals, about what their computers look like from the inside, like because they keep so many tabs open, stuff like that. It's just, it doesn't have to be something general. It can be something that you think represents you, even if it's little. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think that was very inspiring for most of the people, because like I think the biggest conflict when students are applying to colleges is writing an essay, because this is the main thing many admission officers say they look at it. So let's talk about your extracurriculars and stats. How were they?
So for my extracurriculars, as I mentioned, when I was studying here in Argentina in high school, I did Olympiads, science Olympiads, and I did Model UN and some entrepreneurship contests that but the options here were very limited. There wasn't much to do. So when I left for the US, it kind of got more wide and varied. I did a lot of wilderness. I was the leader, co-leader actually, of our organization for student wellness and health, and yeah, I focused on music as well. So like very, very varied things. It's just things that I liked. I didn't do it thinking, oh, that's going to look good in an application, you know, which is, I think, what matters, that you do things because you want to do them.
You're absolutely right. But think about a student who also attracted to robotics and both poetry. Do you think that this will look diverse in the application, like as a negative effect? I'm asking.
I don't see how it could be negative. What I think usually could negatively impact applications is doing things to force a curriculum, to force a resume, like just to do things, to write them down and say I did them. But if you love pottery and you love robotics and you just want to do both, and you do both of them because you really, really want to do them, then there's no way that could look bad on your resume, because you're just a passionate person that's passionate about diverse things, you know?
Okay, thank you. So let's talk about your application process for MIT in Harvard. I don't know what schools that you applied. Maybe you can talk about them also. And then to the point, why did you choose MIT as a final school?
Okay, so the thing is, I applied to 8 schools, I think. But my only high-reaching school was MIT, I think. I also applied to WashU in St. Louis, which is also kind of hard to get into, and I didn't get into that one. I got waitlisted, I think. But yeah, so I didn't apply to that many schools, and I only applied to schools that really had what I wanted, because I want to do a very specific major, which is aerospace engineering. And so I applied only to schools that had aerospace engineering, and those weren't that many. There were just a few on the target reach for me, which were, like, for example, Case Western Reserve University, or Worcester Polytechnic Institute, which were two schools that I did end up getting into. And then there was MIT, where I was just like, okay, let's try, you know, and yeah.
Wow. Did you gain any scholarships?
Yes, and actually the reason why I ended up choosing MIT, other than the fact that it was my dream for my whole life, was the only one I could afford out of all the ones that I got into, because they gave me the best scholarship, because they really are committed to only admitting students regardless of their financial situation, and then checking to see what they need, and just giving you what they need. Yeah, exactly.
So, what was your major? Aero what?
Aerospace engineering. So
this
kind
is
of
not
rocket science.
It's not a common major that many people want to study. Why did you choose that topic when you can choose computer engineering, or I don't know, politics, because you did the UN? So why?
I know, I have no idea actually. I just I love planes, and I've always been fascinated by things that can fly, and I love watching YouTube videos about like aerodynamics just to learn things. And I just figured if I had the opportunity here in Argentina, that major doesn't exist. It only exists in one university, and it's really far away from my house. And I couldn't get access to applying there. And so I figured once I got the chance, why not study more vehicles that fly? I guess I'm also very open to changing my major if I have to.
Okay, thank you. So you chose IB, I think. Yes.
Yes.
So what were the classes that you chose, and how was the IB process? Because IB is a little different from AP, and many people don't understand that. So maybe you can talk about what IB is for, and why the subjects that you chose as an HL and SL.
Okay, so well, this is actually gonna sound weird to some people. I chose I didn't do two sciences. I only did physics as a science, and I did it in higher level because I just love physics. I really love physics. When I went into the IB, I didn't go in thinking I'm gonna get good grades and apply to good colleges. I went in thinking I will do things that I like, because I never got a chance to do that before, because in Argentinian high school you're just forced to take the same 10 subjects for the whole 5 years. So I said, okay, this time I'm going to choose, and I chose music, physics, of course. I had to take math, but I like math, so that wasn't a problem. I took global politics, English literature, and French. Which is very varied, again.
Yes, it was very varied. I was very surprised. I thought like you chose math HL, physics HL, chemistry HL. And
right. So, yeah.
Yes, I was very sure that you can choose SCS, but I was very surprised. So, what was the hardest thing in your application process, both in your IB? Because, you know, like in IB, you have to write an extended essay, you have to do the IAs, and this year you didn't go to exams. Am I right?
No, yeah, we didn't have exams.
So the IA was the 100%.
We don't know that. We just got random grades. I saw someone ask the question saying what grade I got a while ago. I got, on my final IB, I got a 37, which is a huge drop from what I was not. I don't know my predicteds because our school doesn't tell us, but I did get much higher grades on my transcript, and I just got I got a 6 on Math SL, which is something that I took Math SL. I'm just gonna put that out there, and because I wanted to take HL, but they wouldn't let me because of my the time slots just wouldn't fit all in the same calendar. So I had to take Math SL, and I had an agreement with my teacher, who I love, that she would let me go to the HL classes, but I had to take the SL exams. And for example, that thing I'm saying right there, that I went to the HL class, but I didn't care that I was officially taking the SL subject, is also a way to show that I did math because I liked it, and not just to put it on my resume, and which is something that I mentioned to MIT, and I think they liked it. I can tell you why later. But so I got a 37, and that's not a great score. Like, okay, yes, it's a really good score, but it's not a score you would expect of someone going to MIT.
Yes.
Which,
maybe you talk about the MIT process that you talk earlier. I can speak wider, so maybe you can open that wider right now.
Yeah. So applying to MIT is really simple. Actually, you just go into their website, and they have like a begin application button, which took me like 2 months to click because I was terrified. And they have an application process that's in 2 parts. You have part A and part B, and part A is basically biographical facts. So you just tell them your age and where you're from and basically who you are. And then on the second part, it's more essay focused, and you have to write about specific prompts. And then I'm not sure if those prompts change every year or not. As I said, you have to submit those 2 parts of the application, and you have to submit your test scores, which I think, I don't know if you have to submit them this year. I think this year they're optional, but you have to submit test scores. And then there's the financial aid application, which is separate. And I applied early action, which means I got my decision in December, and I actually got deferred. Like I didn't get accepted in December. I got deferred to general application to regular action, basically. And then I had to submit another form, which was called February Updates. And you tell them how you're doing in life. And you have to tell them a joke in that form. And it was very, very frustrating to have to tell them a joke. And then in March, I found out finally that I'd gotten accepted.
So what was the best part of MIT that you were very, what to say, like, very attracted to? Like, why MIT? I'm truly wondering why MIT is the choice that you made.
Okay, so when I was little, I watched, when I was little, I mean very little, I was like 9. I watched the movie 21 Blackjack with one of my friends. And it's a movie about an MIT professor and his students that end up going to a casino and cheating at blackjack, basically, and counting cards. And it's a whole story, and it's really funny. But the second I learned that the action happened in MIT, I thought, wow, that's like a really cool place, because at school here, I'd always found that I loved math and I loved physics, and I was kind of teased about it sometimes, and I couldn't find people that liked the same things I liked, and I thought, oh my god, MIT is the place. But I was 9 and I didn't know much, and I gave up on that dream for a while. And then when a year ago I thought, oh, I have to apply to school now, I thought, okay, yeah, I'm definitely applying to MIT, because now I not only know that there's the people I like, but there's also the resources, and there's like just the community MIT is really proud for being a community that is not competitive. It's really more about like helping each other and helping people build themselves up to be really successful. And so I was really attracted to that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So what do you think that, what was your standout factor is? Because you know that MIT and Harvard and other schools are selecting students who have a standout factor. So what do you think yours was?
I don't know. I sometimes think that they made a mistake by admitting me, but everyone thinks that. I know everyone thinks that. But I think my standout factor might be that I'm very, as I said, I've done so many things. For the last 4 years, I've always been called like the busy bee, the one who never stops doing extracurriculars, and but everything I did it because I liked what I was doing. And so I think that maybe they saw that I was passionate about science and about doing things related to science, but also to other activities, as I said, like student wellness, which I was really focused on as well, and the outdoors and the educational side of school. Maybe.
So I'm looking at the questions. Can you read your essay? Someone asks. Is your
Can
essay?
I don't have my essays with me because once you submit your application, it's just out there. I can tell you about some of the topics that I wrote about, maybe. If you give me a second to find them, I'll find them. If you want to ask me another question while I find them, we can do that too.
Okay, I'm looking for other questions. So do you have any suggestions for Common Up essay? So we talk about that. Maybe if you want to repeat or do another thing. Maybe for supplement essays of
right.
What are your questions and what did you answer basically to them?
So MIT asks, I think if I remember correctly, it was 250 word essays and one 100 word essay, I think. And they were about, okay, I found the prompts. If you want to, I can read them out. They ask for the major that you want to do and why, which might sound silly, but it's actually kind of hard to explain. Like, why do you want to do aerospace engineering? I don't know. Then there's one that asks about how you could contribute to their community. Why would you be an asset if you were accepted? Why, and how have you contributed to your community beforehand? So, as I said, they don't only look for academics. They also look for you to be an engaged person wherever you are. So someone who will definitely aid into making the community better, constantly better. Then describing, what?
Maybe you can read what you write to those questions because many of the people are wondering about that too.
So my answers, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, for the community one, I described my activities with, I based my answer off of an activity I did at school with the sexual wellness education and empowerment team we have. It's basically an educational group and a peer resource group. So I wrote about that, about giving presentations and teaching specific knowledge. And yeah, I don't think I can go into much depth because it's the details don't really matter. It's more about the fact that, yeah, that was an activity I did because I was passionate about, and I wrote about that one. Then they ask for you to describe where you come from and how that world shaped your hopes and dreams. And I explained that I was from a city, a really big city, where I felt like in Argentina, it's really common that you go to high school and then you go to the national university and then you graduate and then you complain about how little you earn. And I just didn't want to be trapped in that routine. So that's what my answer was based on. It's just my ambition to do more than what was expected of me. And then the last question is the most significant challenge you faced, or something important that didn't go according to your plans. And on that one, I wrote about math Olympiads. When I was on my junior year of high school in Argentina, I went to the Math Olympiads Nationals, and I thought, I'm gonna earn this. I'm just gonna be so great. And I took the test, and I couldn't answer a single question, and I was so frustrated. So I wrote about that and about how I went the year after that, and I did much better the year after that. Yeah, that one was mostly about being humble, though. It's important that you find kind of like a value or something to relate your stories to. It's not just that I failed, but it's also that I learned that I needed to be humble to not fail.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions that you would like to share with us? Was that all as a question?
Yeah, that's the questions. It's a very short application, actually.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to close the conversation with one little question. So what would you say to who want to go to the college?
What would I say? They have this blog post called Applying Sideways. It's something that they show you always whenever you're trying to apply. It's just the first thing that pops up. And I never understood why it was so important until I got in. Because I thought if someone was looking at my application for what it is, like, sorry, for my statistics, if someone was looking at my test scores only, they would say, no way am I letting this get in, right? But they saw me for who I am, and they saw me for something that's more important than just a number, because I look at the statistics and the numbers and I say, okay, I'm definitely at the bottom of the score, the score range. I'm definitely towards the bottom. And I think, well, like, they wouldn't have accepted me if they only saw numbers. And I think that's why essays are so important. So just be yourself and do things because you like to do them. And then really find a way to put that on the paper when you're applying somewhere. Just show them really that you do things because you want to, and not just because you're trying to impress them. I think that's something that's really important. And just try. And they will give you financial aid if you get in, which is really nice.
So thank you for answering your questions and just spending time with us. So I hope you had an enjoyable evening today. I don't know, is it evening out there? Are you in USNet now?
No, I'm in Argentina.
Okay. So have a nice day. I'll say this is our first meeting with you. I hope we have more and more, because I like your synergy and your sympathy. So have a nice day, and thank you for your joining.
Thank you for having me. It was really nice. Are you closing the live, or do you want me to close it?
No, I'm waiting for you to close.
Okay. See you.
Have a nice day. So this is what it today. So at Friday we are going to talk about Zeynep from Glasgow University. So have a nice day.